Morning, folks. Morning, Ali. Morning, John, the van driving legend. Still a legend, apparently. Morning, Stuart. Morning, Lenny. Morning, Eddie. Let's jump across the other side. See, we got Sandra, Ewan, Laurie, Nori, Stephen, Karen, Luke, Fiona, Donald, Linda, Elizabeth. Good morning, Duisburg. Morning, Jan, Alex, Pete. Morning, Alistair. Morning, Wolf Pet, and Sandra. Right, give you a couple more seconds to get on board. Morning, William, John, and then we'll get this broadcast underway. I'm sorry there's no broadcast yesterday, but I seem to be overloaded with work on a Sunday night, so I'm not getting into the small hours in the morning. By the time I've sat and relaxed for a couple of hours, I'm not getting my bed till 5 in the morning, so I'm just finding it too difficult to put a Monday out at the moment. So once things settle down a bit, we'll get back to Monday. But I'm already putting out 6 shows a week, so I'm sure that's enough for you all. All right. Okay then. Let's get this show on the road. It's Indy Truck Davey out the truck, not home in his office in Salisbury, North Lanarkshire, where it is bloody cold. First frost of the year last night, and at the moment it's 1 degree. Okie dokie. That's the weather forecast for Salisbury, North Lanarkshire. You want to know what the weather's like where you are? Look at your end, bloody windy. Alright, this is news review for Monday the 5th of the 12th, 2022. Monday started with a mixed bag in the rags, and it covered almost all the big subjects that was in the press yesterday. Alright. Actress stroke model, or whatever she is, Kate Winslet, pays energy bill of Scott's mother who faced putting her child into care because she could not afford to run her daughter's life support equipment at home. That's due to the cost of the energy crisis, or the cost of the energy crisis. Of course, as we all know, it isn't a cost of energy crisis, it's profiteering by the energy giants. This wee woman was going to have to put her daughter into care because she couldn't afford to keep her life support machines going. Absolutely disgusting, right? Also in the rags, Scott gunned down in Paradise Bar. Aberdeen hotel manager shot dead on the Isle of St. Lucius. His gunman opened fires in a bar. Apparently, his friend is in intensive care. No great story, that one. Labour reveals plans to save the union. We'll get more of that as we get into the report. Met Office staff set to stage lightning strikes. Overpaying condition. I quite like that one, like the strikes. Baroness of the Bra, Michelle Moan, makes the front pages amid claims from former Health Minister doing that road, Matt Hancock, that she bullied her way into the COVID PPE VIP fast lanes, netting herself 29 million from the public purse. I wonder what she had on the Health Minister doing that road that she could bully him into awarding contracts. Interesting that, eh? I'd like to get a wee bit deeper into that. We'll see what Matt's going to say for himself. Right. And the criminal cabal use a mandatory military personnel to break strikes. This comes after Nazim Zawawi on Sunday urged nurses to accept a derogatory pay offer to send a message to Putin. Wow. So it would appear that they're going to use military personnel to bust the nurses' strike. Oofed. That's a bit like what the military were used to beat the shite out of the miners. Not great. Right, and also in the headlines, job fears and $1 billion cut to Scotland's budget. We've spoken about that. And campaign for SNP leader at Westminster. Ramps up, apparently. Okay, so that's the headlines yesterday in the papers. It covered almost all the big news stories there was. But we'll move on anyway. Monday, and down that road, and our Imperial House of Thieves and Carpetbaggers, levelling up Minister, Wee Goby, to back down on mandatory housing building numbers in England. This was due to civil war in the Tory party. And it's about basically 50 Tories in there don't think that the English government should be building houses for the English people to live in. So there's a war going on in the Tory party where they're levelling up bill. Housing's just one area. There's other areas there as well to be covered, and this levelling up bill is holding things up a wee bit in Westminster, thank Christ. Right, also Monday, down that road in the Imperial Palace at Westminster, Prime Minister and Home Secretary consider breaking another international treaty that the UK signed up to in the 1950s, 1951, I believe it was. So what's this all about? Well, Brexit, and point to the xenophobes who voted for it. That's what it's all about. Sunak and Cruella de Vil to jail and deport people who arrive in small boats seeking asylum. Right? Now what they're saying is, unless they've got the paperwork to enter the UK and seek asylum, then they're going to jail them and deport them back from whence they came. Now, there isn't legal routes into the UK for asylum seekers. There isn't legal paperwork to get them here, unless it's one of the schemes. And the only one of the schemes that's actually taking any people is the one for Ukraine. The Afghani scheme hasn't seen any more Afghans coming here since the pullout. The Iraqi scheme's collapsed. And there's no legal route into the UK. So they're talking about breaking the International Convention on the Rights to Seek Asylum. Just throw them in jail, put them in planes, get shot at them. They keep using the term illegal immigrants. People seeking asylum are not illegal immigrants. And it is not illegal, in fact it's a legal necessity under international law, that we offer asylum to people who come here. Or at least we look at their case and make a decision based on the facts. No, this lot down the road, they don't give a damn about international law. They only give a damn about the voting xenophobes that voted for Brexit. So people will be deported, apparently, in breach of the UK's obligations under the International Convention for Asylum Seekers. Not good. Right, anyway, moving on. Also, Monday, down that road, Ian Blackford denies he was forced out as SNP leader. Ian tells us he would have been re-elected as leader if he had stood again at the SNP Westminster Group's annual general meeting today. Now, Alison Thulis and Stephen Flynn are vying it out to take over for Ian. And that vote will take place today. And we should find out which of the two candidates becomes the new leader and this evening at some point. Okay. I think the AGM takes place after Parliament's business today. Okie dokie. Right, moving on. On Monday, and down that road in Yorkshire, the resurrected Gordie Brown unveils his plans to save the Union. Now, what did Gordie offer the Scots? Nothing. He offered absolutely nothing. I'm not surprised they did it in Yorkshire instead of doing it here where it had been questioned. So what was in this new federal UK wheeze? A new second chamber made up of the nations and regions of the United Kingdom, where Scotland and Wales would still be outvoted on everything. Why? Because there's more regions in England. There's a bigger population in England. So, an elected second chamber, which would reflect, roughly, the second chamber we have at the moment, with it being dominated with England. Very much like the Westminster Parliament. So that was nothing. What else did he offer? Well, he offered to defund the Holyrood Parliament and replace our elected government with elected mayors, who would get the funding direct from Westminster, as opposed to Holyrood. So hollowing out the Parliament to nothing more than a talking shop, as promised by Neil Davidson, ex-Glasgow Labour MP, in 2014, when he said they were going to hollow that place out by stripping it of so many powers, they'd be as well meeting above a pub. Well, that's what Gordon Brown announced yesterday. We're going to decentralise England and strip the Scottish and Welsh parliaments of any power that they have. He also offered to beef up the Sewell Convention, but he didn't offer to set it in law so that the Westminster Parliament couldn't do anything in Scotland or Wales and devolved areas without legislative consent. So far, they've offered nothing. What are we? Must think we're as thick as mince. Vague new tax varying powers. No details for the Welsh Parliament to look at, for the Scottish Parliament to look at. Rules, the rules of devolution on this island don't apply to Northern Ireland. They have a different settlement. So yesterday, Bruni offered us nothing except for gouging out the Scottish Parliament to ensure that independence would never be possible, because all the funding would go direct from Westminster to locally elected mayors. Whereas at the moment, through the 1998 Scotland Act, councils are dealt with through the Scottish Parliament. So they offered to gut our Parliament, strip it of its powers. Not going to happen, of course. None of it, apart from maybe stripping the powers out of the Scottish Parliament. The rest is bollocks. As we know, Starmer followed Bruni and he didn't seem that keen. As we know, on Sunday he was interviewed by the press and asked about reform in the House of Lords or abolishing the House of Lords, and he said that maybe have to wait for a second term. Kicked right into the long grass. The rest of it, of course, was just piss and wind. Absolute piss and wind. What Bruni offered yesterday was to strip the Scottish Parliament of its powers and its funding. And he was claiming the days of centralisation were over. Never had so much fish in all your life. We'll get a wee bit more of that as we get towards the end of the show, when we talk a wee bit about Starmer. Alright? So, that was it. No wonder he did the big review in Yorkshire, because there was nothing in it for the Scottish people. If that's his idea of better for Scotland and better than independence, nurse! Why would you use to reanimate Clunking Fist this time? How's they worked? Wow. Mental. Right. Moving on Monday. Back here in Scotland, the Pravda's bigging up the vow 2.0. The rest of Scotland gets slated as usual. A&E waiting times. Teacher strikes. Train strikes. Although the train strikes is a UK government problem. So that was yesterday's news in the Pravda here. Big vow that meant nothing, and everything else in Scotland is crap because it's run by the Scottish Parliament. Okie dokie. Right. Alright, moving on. Monday. And another SNP bad story is no moving fast enough in the dueling of the A9. All right. Now, death tolls on the A9 this year so far, 13. And apparently local campaigners say the Scottish Government need to get a move on. All right. Local campaigners, woofed. The stretch of road they're talking about is 112 miles long. That's a big locale. Oh. Anyway, folks, let me make this clear once again. And I can say this with a little authority after all my years as a professional driver. And you guys have seen me get up and down that road doing reports with certain sections of the A9. You've even seen pictures of me held up in snow-blocked roads on that A9. But let me tell you something about that A9 and almost all roads. The A9 is actually a very good road. Good road. Great road. Nothing wrong with it. I've been up and down it thousands of times safely. And the reason for that is roads don't kill people. People get themselves killed on the roads. Nothing wrong with the road. Road didn't jump up and bite anybody's arse or bite his head off. What kills people on roads, and let me make this clear as a professional driver of many, many years, what kills people on the road is people not driving to conditions. People overstretching or over-imagining their own ability to operate the machine they are operating. Or sometimes the machine goes wonky on them. But 95% of the time, people dying on these roads are getting themselves killed. Because roads don't kill people. Let me make that 100% clear. As a professional driver of many, many years, it's people who get killed on the road, and they're killing themselves by not driving to conditions, not understanding the conditions they're driving in, and not being able to properly operate or safely operate the machine that they are moving in. Or this crap about death toll on A9 or any other road. I've done more miles backwards than most people have done forwards. Roads don't kill people. And this is a non-story. You want to know why the A9 is not getting upgraded fast enough? Budget's being cut. Simple as that. Where's the budget being cut from? The House of Thieves and Carpetbaggers. Local campaigners and 13 deaths. Let me make this clear. This isn't an SNP bad story. This is Scotland's got some really shite bad drivers story. Who can't operate their machines. I feel a lot of sympathy for their families. In fact, my heart goes out to their families. As a professional driver. I've gone up and down that road and seen motors off that road and wondered if people have made it. I've been held up in jams in that road because people have tried to overtake and misjudged it and ended up banging into each other. I feel really bad for their families. But the truth be told, whoever was operating the machine made an arse of that road. The road didn't kill them. They got themselves killed on the road. Bear that in mind, folks, especially as we get into winter. Roads don't kill people. The driver and the machine kills people. Please drive to conditions. If you don't know the road, slow down. Defensive driving. You will make it safely to your destination, no matter what the road is. Whether the A96, the A9, the M8, the M74, the A71, you name a road. Even B roads. Roads don't kill. Right, moving on. Monday, here in Scotland. And a wee good news story. Telecommunications company Mangata set to open up shop in Ayrshire at the Prestwick Aerospace Park. Now, as you know, Scotland is one of the world's biggest satellite producers. Glasgow is an international hub for producing satellites. This new company, telecommunication company, Mangata, intend to build satellites up to a maximum weight of 1,500 kilograms. Now, I'm not quite sure how many people would be employed, but it's a good news story as Scotland has a burgeoning space programme. All right, moving on. Monday, and the Borders get new tourism chief. David Hope Jones to take up post at the South of Scotland Destination Alliance, whatever the hell that is. And that's because apparently the Borders region is recently featured in Lonely Planet. Now, in a Lonely Planet, it says that the south of Scotland's quite empty, but absolutely gorgeous. And they're right. Staycation is going to be a big thing going forward, folks. So if you're having a weekend away somewhere, the Borders, Galashiels, Hoyk, Peebles, wonderful wee towns down there. Beautiful scenery. So take my word for it. I've been sitting up in the top, big high cab, being able to look where the hedgerows, be able to see everything round about. You want somewhere lovely to visit on a short break, the Borders is the place to go. All right, so that was that's another good news story for the Borders. Going to be a tough time trying to get tourists in with the cost of living crisis, but hey ho. Right, moving on. Monday in Glasgow Airport closed for 2 hours. Due to a suspicious item in luggage, apparently. This was early on Monday, but I've just got to it. Anyway, the experts of disposal were called. The airport was closed. Everybody moved out into the car park and the bloody called. While the experts of disposal checked out this suspicious item. Anyway, apparently this suspicious item that kept the airport closed for 2 hours was innocent. Whatever the hell that means. Suspicious and innocent. Anyway, airport opened up again after a couple of hours. And there were 22 flights either cancelled or delayed. There you go. Moving on. Monday. And Scotland's biodiversity minister, Lorna Slater, is off to the United Nations Climate Biodiversity Conference in Canada, COP15. Now, restoring and maintaining biodiversity is as important to checking climate change as transitioning away from fossil fuels. Scotland has earmarked 30% of its landmass to be repurposed with biodiversity in mind. That would also be restoring peat bogs and forests because they store a lot of carbon. So Lorna's off to Canada to represent Scotland at the Biodiversity Conference, the United Nations Biodiversity Conference. As we know, folks, we're not that far away from ecosystems breaking down because of climate change and global warming. And that's what the biodiversity thing is all about. As ecosystems break down, then species are wiped out in large amounts. And apparently Scotland has lost an awful lot of it. Insect life in fauna, over the past 60, 70 years. So the idea is to put it all back to how it should be, and hopefully that will see biodiversity return. Right. Now let's move on Monday. And over the pond in America, the Democrats retained control of the Senate, with one result still to be declared. Georgia. All right. Now, if the Democrats take the Georgia senator seat, then that would send a shockwave right across the Republican Party and probably give Trump a bloody nose, and it would dent his chances of getting back into the White House. So let's hope the Democrats take Georgia, because the US still has a massive influence on the planet, and the last thing we need is Trump back in the White House. Right. Now, before I move on to the papers this morning, because time's getting on, I want to talk a wee bit about the bollocks that came out of Gordon Brown yesterday and the Labour leader, Sir Keir Starmer. At this point in time, you could have put a five paper between Starmer and Sunak, not one. They're standing shoulder to shoulder on Brexit. They're standing shoulder to shoulder on immigration. and they're standing shoulder to shoulder on austerity. What was offered yesterday was window dressing, which meant nothing. Starmer is as Tory as it gets. He plans to keep us out the EU and out the single market in order to please the xenophobes in England. He intends to take the same sort of stance on immigration as the Conservative Party. What can you say? And of course, he's a Tory through and through. So there will be no end to austerity when Starmer gets in. In fact, I've already made this clear. When Starmer gets in and the Treasury drops the report on his desk, everything for his so-called energy company that he's going to create, it's all going to be out the window. They need money for it. Not without hiking taxes. And at this point in time, very few people get any money left to be taken away. Everybody's been pulling out the economy. Investments pulling out. The Bank of England is emptying their pockets at a rapid rate, and its inflation is bloody soaring. UK debt's mounting. And Starmer thinks he's going to do anything. Nah, what he's going to do is steady the ship at the same place we're at right now. And there is a decade of economic decline on the cards. Confederation of British Industry yesterday. A decade of economic decline. OBR. A decade of economic decline. And Institute for Fiscal Studies. A decade. This isn't a recession we're getting into, folks. You're getting the wool pulled out of your eyes. We are getting into a full-on depression. The lights has not been seen since the 1930s. Wow. Yeah, so let's see what the papers are going to see this morning. Now that I've pontificated on where we're going to be for the next decade, if we don't get out of this bloody union. And we must convince the people of Scotland not to vote Labour under any circumstances. Right, Scotland's papers have Harry's all-out war and Labour launch Vow 2. Right, the Daily Rancid has Harry hits out at dirty game. Apparently the Palace has been playing dirty, whatever the hell that means. The Scottish Daily Fail has got fury at Sussex's Netflix claim of war on Meghan. Who cares? The Winnie Rag Express has all-out war. Now Harry says Palace played dirty games. Who cares? Wow. The Metro has Labour launch Vow 2. Brown says Scots want radical change, but he never bloody offered any. That's for sure. The Herald has Starmer blasts Sturgeon on plans for Indy rep election. Who cares what some idiot in another country's going to say? It's a bit like the royal thing. The Scotsman has Starmer de facto Indy rep bid defies common sense. Away, don't talk pish, Starmer. Hey. The Daily Telegraph has I'll reject Sturgeon's plan, says Keir. Boy, very good. Last time I looked, he wasn't in power. The Times has real unions deliver more misery with a Christmas Eve strike. Quite right. And Starmer rules out referendum. Undemocratic. But where can you say? Tory. The Eye has antibiotics en masse for children in Strep A school. So apparently there's been an outbreak of Strep A in a school somewhere. The National has D-Day in SNP Westminster leadership race. It's no. It's just the day the ballot's cast. Wow, they're brilliant at making up these mad headlines, aren't they? Well, let's see what the stars go for us today. Where's the star? The Daily Star of Scotland. Netflix kerfuffle 2. Get the popcorn in, folks. the Royal Shyness to trash Royal Family again on Thursday. Hey, bloke Wavell's life with the firm, a dirty game. Ah, you got that bit right, Star. The firm is a bloody mafia. Right, folks, right, that's what we got for you today. Now, on the Starmer thing, and on Labour's wheeze, we have to get out there and convince people not to vote Labour. And you have to break down what pish it was that was offered to Scotland yesterday. If you can find it. I've got a copy of it. There's nothing. No specifics, nothing. It's the Bow Mark II. Empty rhetoric, vague promises, never to be fulfilled. Okay, so there's a campaign going on, as you can tell by Labour's attempt yesterday. So learn your how you gonies, and that includes Labour's new piece of pish, and get out there and win hearts and minds. Okay, now, as you know, Dave and I have Angus Brendan McNeil on for a chat on Sunday at 5 p.m. Join us on the 2 Davies for that, okay? Right, remember, support the independent media. Support Broadcasting Scotland, Independence Live, Indie Live Radio, Caledon Media, Trues Radio, the iScot magazine, and the national newspaper. Support independent bloggers and bloggers. And if they've got a crowdfunder on the go and you've got a few shekels to spare, please throw them in the pot, because these guys do great work. All right. Now, as you know, don't want your money. If you're going to share this, give me a couple of minutes. If you're going to share it on Facebook, give me a couple of minutes to change it public when I've finished this broadcast. Okay. Now, remember, folks, winter's coming in. Hospitals are under pressure. If you're a wee bit under the weather, show some social consciousness and mask up. Clean your hands and surfaces regularly. And if you're a health and social care worker using NHS lateral flow tests, please submit your results. Okay. Thanks very much for joining me today, folks. We'll be back tomorrow to do it all again. Now, you guys have a nice